A lot of people ask themselves that if I do happen to choose creatives, what's going to happen to me? Most parents don't even support that narrative. They don't even want to think about it. Sanbonani Dumelang and welcome to Campus Vibe Cast. And today we are not alone. We bring you one of TUT's alumni who's going to tell us about her journey or their journey in poetry creatives as a whole. Nale, how are you?
It's so good. Every time I'm doing anything TT related, I'm so excited. But I'm good. I love talking about art as a career choice that most people are scared of. So yeah, I'm excited to be chilling on the Vibecast and talking about it.
I like that. You know, one of the things that most people, when they ask, how are you? We just respond to say that I'm fine. But in all honesty, how is your heart? Like today, how's your heart?
Sure. I did some good breath work this morning. So I spent 15 minutes just like doing active breathing. So very activated. Took a good bath. So I think I'm very chilled. I'm zen. I'm present. I try not to feel too many things. But yeah, my heart is content. I think I'm content.
I like that.
Yeah.
For the whole week, I don't know how I've been feeling, but I've been a bit heavy. I feel like a lot of things were happening all at once, especially last week. So I'm still trying to debrief from last week. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, it's going to be a great week. To someone who doesn't know you, someone who hasn't heard of Naledi, someone who hasn't seen Naledi and their TUT students, can you just give us a brief background of your journey into UT?
Sure. Okay. So I did my first year in 2014. 2014, 2015, somewhere there, guys, named Dal. And I was doing my diploma in marketing, which was a good time. And I think I landed in marketing because I wanted to go to film school and I couldn't afford to do film school. So I ended up in marketing because it was the next best thing to communications. I was like, okay, a space where I can talk, write. And I stayed at a beautiful residence called West City, which is where we come from, how we know each other. And yeah, I was so involved in res culture, and I'm always grateful for that. When I talk about my time doing my diploma, I always say res life, extracurricular activities are the highlights of my journey. But first year I joined debate because I was already doing debate in high school. So that was fun. I did really well. Won inter-res. Went on to win inter-campus. So I took debate pretty seriously. Joined the debate society. Then Fees Must Fall happened. Now deep inside because politics are part of my DNA.
I think it was
2015.
2015,
yes,
I was not here yet. I think I came 2016. But I remember the whole
guys, it was tough. It was tough. Couldn't sleep. You're in the streets. So yeah, I think I came to TT at the perfect time for Naledi because so many things were happening at the same time. So that was my journey. I ended up in SRC in my final year, politics, continued that journey, represented the university at debate nationals championships, made the final. And so that was fun. Went on to represent the university again.
I like that. I like the fact that you also mentioned the importance of having to balance. Because most people come to university and they think that, you know what, I should just focus on my schoolwork. And I remember, I think it was weekend when I was speaking to the other students, the facilitators for HGLD, and they were saying that how do you then get to balance? Because it's a lot. You have test weeks, but another thing that they don't realize is that for you to actually be part of these things, you have to pass well as well.
Yes. I was telling someone recently that I knew when I was contesting for SRC because I joined the organization that I represented very late, but I was like, academics. I was like, I know my pass mark is nice. And so I think very, very, very important. I talk about this a lot when I talk to people that are in matric or doing their first year or taking gap years, to say it's very important to know, one, you can't go into the workspace with just your diploma.
Definitely.
Nobody cares. We want to know, can you speak? Can you interact with people? Are you just book smart? that will not do anything for you. So you need to find these small things that you can do that will add to kind of your experience. When I have like so much experience when I go into spaces because I was a part of everything. So I think one of my favorite things about TUT as an institution is like you have mentors. So if you're really an academic person, you can still shine in that space, but don't just go to class, then your room, class, then your room. So if you are an academic, you can become a mentor, join the academic space, be active in that space, you know. But if you're creative and you have other gifts, like take your shot at it. It's my favorite thing about having studied here, honestly.
Like that. I was reading a book, Hosea Rampekwa. It says that the title of the book is Gifted, Hunted, and Haunted. So you then realize that when one has a gift, you face such a lot of things. There are a lot of things that are happening in one's life, especially because God has bestowed this gift upon your life.
Sure.
So I don't know with you and your journey, if there has been any challenges through that and you discovering yourself, knowing who you are and stuff like that.
As a creative and as someone who, I was talking to a friend last night and I was saying to them, that I think a lot about having a 9-to-5, and they were shocked because I'm such a creative. Like when I do a 9-to-5, and I've only done that for a year as an adult, it was actively because I wanted to be in that space, know how the space works. It was an education. I wanted to be inside a school, and that was it. But because money is a real thing, obviously you have rent, we're adults now. So those are the current challenges that you'll face, especially as a creator, because if you want to make it successfully as a creative in South Africa, you have to build a business around it, which means you have to be a small business owner. You have to know your books, write invoices, and if you're not getting gigs, you have to create spaces, which is why I do events. And that's still management. You have to book a venue. And so those are the immediate challenges. But like, I think I've had the privilege of having a very supportive mother. When I was in high school, she literally said, oh yeah, visual art design. What's your third subject, Chief? And I was like, about business in there. So I've had that privilege. But I think finance is like the biggest challenge in terms of anything in the creative space. Even just like coming to school, you need food, you know. So that was probably the hardest challenge in my first year, because bursaries sometimes they'll delay. Like Tolaga June allowance, hey. You've been starving
the whole 6 half of the
you know. So those are some of the challenges in terms of every day. But also you struggle with finding your voice. Like you don't wake up and you're Naledi create. Like you have to be Naledi, at Nailedy, like, you know, that those identity challenges come often. And yeah, and then obviously I'm queer, and so there's spaces where you're like, you'll be in a space and people are like, don't mention that you're queer. Just be yourself. And it's like, no. And then, you know.
So it's funny that they're saying just be yourself, but don't be yourself.
Right?
Crazy.
How ironic. So yeah, man, I think those are some of the challenges. But making work is a fun challenge for me, but it is a challenge nevertheless. Yeah. I
like that you mentioned. You know, sometimes I know for me, it took me time to actually know what is it that I wanted to do.
Sure.
I was in corporate and I was also trying to be a creative on the other hand, and it was a lot. And like, okay, it's fine. You can do everything, but you're not gifted in everything.
Everything, yeah.
There has to be something that you know that God has called you for this space, and you are good in that space. And
100%.
Until then, I was like, you know what, I'm leaving corporate entirely, and I'm just going to focus on this. And it will bear fruits. And now I'm seeing those, and I'm like, actually, this is what I was called for after all, you know.
I was having this conversation with my little sister, and we're talking about kind of the concept of purpose, right? And I was saying to her, some things will have always just been there, right, from when you were younger. So when you're looking at purpose, when you're deciding, what should I do with my life? There's just some things that are just the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even with talking, right? I remember the exact moment I started speaking.
I get teary now because I remember a conversation that I had. She's continuing.
Yeah. So some things are always there. When you look back and you're like, What was the vibe? And when you talk to your mom, they're like, what's taking? Yes, we don't like this art thing, but what you're doing is real. This has always been you. And so I think sometimes we don't spend enough time looking inside. We spend too much time like thinking about what people have to say, who's gonna think what, but it's just always been right there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. Hence why I'm saying I'm getting teary now because when I was speaking to the facilitator, I said the same thing in terms of purpose, that if you look at your life, there's always that one thing that you've always been doing and you were not paying attention to it until you then sit down and evaluate your life properly, and you'll see that this is exactly what I'm called to do.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, I've been thinking about this idea of an ideological core, right? The idea that there's this one element in you that all of your gifts, all of them combined, accumulate to this one thing. And so, like, I think we take for granted the things that come easy, and how to invest in those things, because you don't become great by just chatting, right? I needed to do debate. I needed to do public speaking. Even though I was great, I still needed to attend practices. I still needed to be coached. And so I think we spend way too much time investing in things that are like trivial. And granted, you need a job, you studied hard. But sometimes you look at, there's so many stories where you'll hear, would see a person held a camera for the first time at 45.
Yeah.
And they're a multi-award-winning filmmaker.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You know, so
Definitely.
I think grateful that a person has had the chance to find their first love when they were young and see it through.
You know, I was speaking to my cousin, I think it was last year, and she was trying to choose a course. And at home they were saying to her that, baby girl, just choose something that you'll find a job at.
Yeah.
That's our economy. That's where we are today.
What tough, guys.
It's about getting a job.
Yeah.
It's no longer about
Yeah.
what you as an individual love.
Want,
Yes.
because you're not going to eat poetry. You know, and it's very important to do that research. Like, even when you go into a field that you like, you have to, I spend a lot of time studying creatives.
Yes.
Like, that's my favorite thing. Studying the industry, studying what's happening in the space. So you have to be invested enough to know,
I like that. So in terms of poetry, when did you actually get into poetry? Because you mentioned a lot of debate.
Yes.
When did you actually become that Naledi create who does poetry and you realize yourself in confident in that?
Yeah. So poetry actually came before debate, funny enough. I am in grade 2. I'm that kid. People don't believe this when I said I was shy, like ridiculously shy. And we get an assignment. It's a poem about, like, I think they said the baobab tree.
Yeah.
And I was just like, baobab, I must research, because I enjoyed reading. And then from that day, I did poetry, and like it never left me. So at church, I do impromptu poetry. For every little church event, I was doing poetry. And then when I came to TUT, I joined the Poetry Society, and it was like whole different game. I'm like, people are like, this is spoken word for real. Now take a freestyle like Eriking, and everyone was happy. The Lord is good. And so you start realizing that, like, poetry is like a deep, intentional thing. You have to spend time reading poetry. You have to spend time with other poets, speaking poetry. And so I think 2015 was when I started taking poetry, like, seriously. And then I spent that time performing. I performed at mayoral gatherings. I had the pleasure of being mentored by an amazing rest manager, Mr. Twice. I used to be his backpack. So I used to perform everywhere where he'd speak for years on end. So I think, that's when my poetry career kind of started. Word and sound. You'd attend these things and then just like see them. So that's the beginning.
I have recently started listening to Zanaya Monet, an AI thingy, but I know that the person who wrote the songs, she's actually a poet. So she was just drafting down and saying her words and and then she figured out that how do I take it out to the public in a way that people would understand it. And she made songs from her poets. And I understood from her songs that mental health, it's very important. How do you then come around that? Because in most cases you find that poets, the only way they could speak is through words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we take for granted the therapy of writing. I still write with pen and paper, most things, even film. I still write. I still do that exercise because I think poetry is like breath work. It's like breathing, right? Yeah. And unless you're able to conjure up the words and externally express them, you feel like you're dying. And so I think that journey of being able to write is so special for mental health. As someone who's been diagnosed with like a bunch of stuff, it's so important to constantly journal, to constantly write, and poetry offers that space, right? The words arrive and I'm just like, they keep saving me. I always say that to people, poetry saves me all the time. Words save me all the time. And so I think that is very important, the process of writing as a poet, and sitting down. I mean, poets like Kollega Putuma, they like from poetry, from a book, they built a play. Yeah. From a play, now we have an audio experience, we're adding music. This one project can live in like 6 different elements, and then there's film. So I think like poetry has such a huge lifespan because the words, they heal, and sometimes even if you don't understand the poem, right? But like you can feel it. Yeah. You don't understand the words, like this word, I don't know what it means. But like I can feel, you find yourself teary. So what's happening? You know, but like I've been touched, you know, and that's the beauty of words and humanity needing words, I
like that. Now, before we even continue with our conversation, because there are certain things that I just want to ask you, let's just go and check what was happening in Pretoria in terms of poetry. They had a poetry session. Let's see what was happening that side.
To have the privilege to resemble the ensemble of whim, discipline and pleasure is indeed an experience wonderful to witness.
We were once pure cotton, but due to the world we were seen and manufactured. And we were no longer just cotton. We were bent and shaped to be identical to the naked eye. We were called shirts, pants and socks. We were everything but identical.
If death was to sit next to me at a restaurant, telling me to finish my food, for he is there to take me with him, I would tell him, wait.
We are celebrating the death of apartheid and the birth of a new nation. We are celebrating our 30 years of a new democratic election and democratic citizenship.
For the first time in a long time, I had hope again. I could breathe again. I could sleep again and I could dream again.
If I were to choose between having you forever or just a single minute, I would choose the minute. Without a doubt, without hesitation. Call it madness, call it heartbreak dressed as clarity, but I would rather have one fleeting, burning moment than an eternity filled with trying to fix what's already fallen apart.
This is Black Experience, a story split between before and becoming, where 1994 was not the ending, but the trampling first step of a people learning how to breathe without chains, freedom. This is Black Experience.
In quite a lot of the poems, even when we're speaking about heartbreak, we're speaking about love, we're speaking about companionship, we're speaking about trauma, all of those things contribute to our psychological trappedness and our psychological freedom. Like it's like this dance between being free, ideally in our minds, and the reality that we're not, right? So when you talk about wanting to be with someone, and if you were asked if you wanted a whole lifetime with them versus a minute, that you'd still choose the minute, right? And that's like the idea that freedom, even at its fullest, there's still limitations to how we can experience it because we're working on a time. Like, all of us, right? There's also like, you're not gonna die, my sister. Yo. What's your, you're working on a lifelong, you want to live on this earth as it is forever. That's dangerous. But we're all going to die, right? And so what is your conversation when you are working on poems around first starting with that place of not being free, and then dancing with the concepts of freedom. So how do you explore the darkness or the trappedness before you get to that conversation of freedom?
When making a poem, I want to perform it and let people feel it inside. I want them to imagine what I'm saying and get the mindset of what's happening. So when it comes to freedom, it has to either be free or not being free and having valid reasons, and let people know why am I saying this and why do I think it like that.
When you think about art, right, historically in South Africa and in the world, whether we're talking about Steve Biko or more recent thinkers in fiction like Kopano Matwa, who play around with these ideas of freedom, Kolega Putuma, because you're a poet, who kind of challenge Lebu Mashile. What do you think our responsibility as poets is?
As poets, I think we have the ability to persuade others effortlessly. So if we can take this chance, like if you know you are a poet or you have that ability, we shouldn't kill ourselves inside and having things like, people do not know me. What if I get stage fright? What if I don't do what they like? We should stop doubting ourselves. So we should explore in a lot of different ways and tell people the truth, like tell people what we think. That way you can convince them and you can simply change the world. It shouldn't be always about events or waiting for a certain opportunity. One can write the poem and present it to people through social media and everything, making videos and making everything viral. Like people will get used to him or her, and then the news will get out like in a way that's fine for poets, and then that way you can convince the world in what we think or what we want it to be.
The whole purpose of us sitting down and talking about poetry and everything that is happening within campus is so that you can also be like those students at Pretoria who are there showcasing their talents. You should be next. Nalit, we still continue with our conversation. Yes. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you before we took a break, is that normally when I introduce you, I'd make fun of it, right? Like, you know what, being on TV and all that. And I'm now thinking when we're speaking about mental healthness and all those things that are figured in all that. Being on a reality TV takes a lot.
Yeah.
You are being scrutinized by the public. People say whatever they want to say about you. Yeah. How did you manage throughout that period?
Sure. I think, you know, like when you decide to do a show, right? Like you think you know what you're going to be getting into. Yeah. You're like, I've been in the public eye. It's not that deep. It's cool. And then you're in the public eye. Like 20 countries are watching you. But like, I think I had conversations with my inner circle first. I think community is so important. I sat down with my mom, with my dad, and my siblings, my partner, friends, and I was just like, you know what, this is what I think the worst of the show is going to be. This is parts of myself where I was just like, I didn't like that about myself. So yeah, heads up, guys. And then when the show did come out, I was like, I gave y'all. But it's hard, man. Like you have to remember, I think, at first, like I was engaging, right? I'd interact and respond and make fun of the things people would say. But then it starts to bother you. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm not even a social media person like that. Really. Let me remove myself, right? So I decided to separate myself because two things were clear. One, these people don't know me. True. Like, that's number one. Number two, you're watching 45 to an hour of like 24 hours a day for weeks. What? You don't even know the gist of it. Like, you know, and so I had to sit down with myself honestly and say, you know what? If I was watching the show, I'd probably see myself like that as well, maybe. But also like I was happy because being inside a conversation was a huge part of why we did the show with the person I did the show with. Showing that queer couples exist, yes. Number one. Number two, queer couples where there's a non-binary person. I think I might have been like the first non-binary person on a reality show like that. So that type of representation was very important for me. So for me, that was like a W. It was a big win. And then we're talking about polyamory, navigating that.
Oh, that was a topic.
You know, like, but being honest.
No, that actually made us to go back and read and like, you know what, let's go check that's what's happening. Yeah.
Dictionary. So like for me, that was a big way. And I think it was one of my favorite things, like knowing Uguti, you can show up to a space and have conversations. And I think I'm very proud of the person that I am and that I was on the show and how I handled myself. How people feel is how they feel based on their lived experience. And I'm just like, hey, man, people are going to feel the way that they feel. And that was good. But yeah, I think my mental took a dip for like a week. And then after that, I was like, nah, these people don't know me. It's cool. You know, you manage. No, yeah.
That's true. In terms of religion, because I've also noticed that you're a very religious person. And I also noticed the tattoo. I don't know it's which side. Trinity. Yes, I saw that. I'm like, okay, you are a very religious person. I don't know if religious is spiritual, because
I consider myself a spiritual
person. Yeah, because I know that most of the time people say, my sister, religion is something else.
Yes.
We are here, yes.
Yeah. So I'm a Christian. Yes. I grew up in the church. Most of my I started preaching when I was like 13, 14. Yeah. I was on a pulpit saying Jesus is Lord from when I was a kid. And so that part of my life has been a roller coaster, and I write about that a lot actually in poetry. I'm actually working, exclusive. I'm actually working on a book. It's going to be, it's going to be an intersection of my queerness and my relationship with God while I navigate relationships with women. It's going to be such an interesting thing. But Christianity has always been at the center of my identity. And I left it for a bit because I felt like, I can't be queer and Christian, wabo. And I took a bit of a break. But like, it was so ingrained in me that like, you know, like the cross kept calling me saying, yo, I'm here. But I do like appreciate and recognize African spirituality as an active practice. I do believe that the people that I come from matter and they're important, and my ancestors were real people that walked this earth that I can learn from, because I believe like this is not the only world that exists. So yeah, I consider myself a spiritual person, but I'm a Christian first. Everywhere else, I'll engage, I'll dabble, but yeah, the cross, overall, prayer, that's me, that's my life. The Bible, me and the Bible are friends, and yeah, I have quite a few projects that I'm working on where, like we discussed, the intersection of, you know, Christianity and queerness. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and yeah, so I'm a Christian.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm a Jesus boy. Yeah.
Now, in terms of, let's say there's someone who's watching you and they're like, you know what, I'm at school and I would like to participate in all of these things that you have mentioned at campus, but I don't even know where to start. I don't even know I have what it takes to do those things. I'm not even sure about my creativity as an individual. Am I that creative or not? What message would you give it?
Fall in love with failing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poets is snap.
Yes. Fall in love with failing. You have to make bad stuff, right? Like you have to make bad stuff in order to make great things. You have to make bad things. I think creatives don't give themselves permission to make work that's not great, just like subpar or bad. Every workshop, every course I facilitate, I always play my students my first film, the first one, like the first film I made. I was acting, I was directing, I wrote. I can always play them that because it's the worst film I'll ever make in my life. But I'm proud of it because you have to try. You have to take a chance on yourself. No one's gonna call you. Oh, definitely. No, like nobody cares.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So I think fall in love with failing, number one. Number two, you never know unless you try.
Yeah.
You never know unless you try. And sitting, I was telling the students at Pretoria when the poetry event was happening, saying to them, dedicate 10 minutes every day with pen and paper. Just write. Even if you're repeating the same word, just keep writing. Just don't stop writing for 10 minutes at a time every day. And that practice will become instinctual. The words will come and it will get better. It's the same thing with speaking. Speak every day. Like, make an intention to say something. I'm at a place in my life where, like, I'm learning how to speak less because, this is my life. I speak less and I listen more. But whatever it is in your creative world that you're trying to do, like, be comfortable with failing and being bad at it. And then, like, do better every time.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That is so beautiful. Where can we get you? Your next project as well?
You can find me on Instagram at Naledi Creates, Facebook Naledi Tsodeti, Netflix Love Never Lies. I used to have dreads. It's not me anymore. So any and everything that will be coming up will be on my Instagram page. So that's the place, that's the space to catch me. Or you can also check me out on Sakaiv. That's a Facebook page. It's the organization that I work with. So it's Sakaiv, SAACYF. It's a dope organization for creatives. So if you're a creative, just check them out. Either way, opportunities are always there. So that's where you'll catch me. YouTube as well, Naledi Create. You'll watch my whack films and have a laugh and enjoy yourself.
Love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming. It was a really good conversation.
Such a good time.
And it was shortened, but it's fine. It's okay. We'll get there. Thank you so much
for having me.
So to everyone who is watching, please do follow her. Please do follow her work. And when come to extracurricular development and see what is happening. Be a part of us. Be a part of everything that we're doing within campus. For more information, don't forget to follow us on Campus Vibecast on all social platforms except X. We're not there. We're not toxic. Apparently it's toxic. I didn't say that. And it's goodbye from me.
I am normally very good at detaching myself from things. But one grabs hold of me. It keeps grabbing day in, day out, all the time, and it doesn't let go. It has pores, and the pores tear into my flesh until the flesh bleeds, and it bleeds until we see bone. I can't seem to escape it, no matter how hard I try. I am trapped. I am trapped in a living pit, and this pit eats away at my flesh because it is my flesh, because it is in my bones, and it bears this flesh. But this flesh is never trapped enough to actually die. Feel it? Right, poem 1. Let's run. Breakups, ne? Quickly. Breakups, guys, jolang, so that you have heartbreak stories. You know poetry. Poetry is called the heartbroken art. Like, poets are always just like, they're always writing from a place of pain, which is why some people don't like poetry, because they're just like, lantrigara. Why are you guys doing that? So we're gonna read one tiny thing I wrote while I was on a call with someone, and I'm like, we're breaking up. It's really over. Why are we still here? And I was writing it while I was on the call with her. It's crazy. Anyway, it's called The End. It's 4 a.m. in the morning, and we've been on this call for 5 hours. 2 of those hours have been us both holding our breaths, trying to hear if one of us hopes and wants to save this thing that is dying. 2 of those hours, I just want to read you a book and put you to bed. I want to read you words I haven't read myself since I penned them down years ago. So 2 of those hours I'm spending trying to read you poetry, even though I know this is ending. I want to read you words that I penned down years ago. I want to play you lullabies from my favorite album with my favorite black jazz artists, because I want you to go to bed in the same way that this relationship is going to bed. But I don't. I don't, because it would hurt you to give you all the things that you always wanted, but I couldn't at the time when you wanted them. I don't, because I don't want to hurt you at the end, when the hurt has been there from the beginning, in the middle, and in the past before I came into the picture. I'm not trying to regurgitate your lived experience of love, so I'm not going to give you the things you wanted, only at the end. In this moment, when we should both be asleep, I finally get it. The discomfort you kept saying we must sit in. The discomfort you kept saying we must embrace so that we become better at this love work thing. Finally, that discomfort makes sense. I hear you now, after 5 hours of trying to escape this conversation because it's uncomfortable. I hear you now when you say we must be radical and resilient with this love thing. This love thing is a revolution. It's not for the faint of heart. I hear you now at the end of this love thing that we had, that we both believed was a love thing forever. And somehow I didn't fight for the sacredness of the love where we choose each other daily, the type of love that Jay Shetty would talk about on his podcast. But when did the beginning become so far from us? How quickly we traveled to this place that is the end, where discomfort is no longer an option because trust and safety is gone. We've been on this call for 5 hours, and 5 of those hours I wish we could meet all over again, but too much has happened, so I know this is the end.